The next day, at the hour of sunset, Aragorn walked alone in the woods, and his heart was high within him, and he sang, for he was full of hope, and the world was fair. And suddenly, even as he sang, he saw a maiden walking on a green sward among the white stems of the birches, and he halted amazed, thinking that he had strayed into a dream, or else that he had received the gift of the elf minstrels, who can make the things of which they sing appear before the eyes of those that listen. For Aragorn had been singing a part of the Lay of Luthien, which tells of the meeting of Luthien and Beren in the forest of Neldoreth. And behold, there Luthien walked before his eyes in Rivendell, clad in a mantle of silver and blue, fair as the twilight in Elvenhome. Her dark hair strayed in a sudden wind, and her brows were bound with gems like stars. For a moment Aragorn gazed in silence, but fearing that she would pass away and never be seen again, he called to her, crying, Tinuvale, Tinuvale, even as Beren had done in the elder days long ago. Then the maiden turned to him and smiled, and she said, Who are you, and why do you call me by that name? And he answered, Because I believed you to be indeed Luthien Tinuvale, of whom I was singing. But if you are not she, then you walk in her likeness. So many have said, she answered gravely, yet her name is not mine, though maybe my doom will be not unlike hers. But who are you? Estiel I was called, he said, but I am Aragorn, Arthorn's son, Isildur's heir, lord of the Dunedain. Yet even in the saying, he felt that this high lineage in which his heart has rejoiced was now of little worth, and as nothing compared to her dignity and loveliness. But she laughed merrily and said, Then we are akin from afar, for I am Arwen, Elrond's daughter, and am named also Undamniel. Often it is seen, said Aragorn, that in dangerous days men hide their chief treasure. Yet I marvel at Elrond and your brothers. For though I have dwelt in this house from childhood, I have heard no word of you. How comes it that we have never met before? Surely your father has not kept you locked in this hoard. No, she said, and looked up at the mountains that rose in the east. I have dwelt for a time in the land of my mother's kin, in far Lothlorien. I have but lately returned to visit my father again. It is many years since I walked in Imildris. Then Aragorn wondered, for she had seemed of no greater age than he, who had lived yet no more than a score of years in Middle-earth. But Arwen looked in his eyes and said, Do not wonder, for the children of Elrond have the life of the Eldar. Then Aragorn was abashed, for he saw the Elven-light in her eyes, and the wisdom of many days. Yet from that hour he loved Arwen Undamniel, daughter of Elrond. That is from the tale of Arwen and Aragorn, and that is in the appendix of the Fellowship of the Ring in the actual book. So you can read that on your own. There's more to it. But I thought to myself, what is this Elven-light? And I did a video about it last year. But I wanted to go more into it because something that I have recently come across is this idea of the law of attraction. And I want to go deeper into it because I feel that there has been a false idea of what law of attraction is. And I think that Tolkien actually was getting to the heart of the law of attraction and how elves were able to manifest things that were above the ability of man. And it's about the art that is unlimited in a way because it is touched by the grace of life and being so close to Eru Iluvatar, the one of the entire universe. So the elves represent that. And the light of Valinor is derived from light before any fall from grace, and is the light of art blinded with reason and good bound with beauty. So this light is so bright because it is filled with reason and it is filled with goodness that is bound in a beautiful appearance. But what makes it really, truly beautiful is the goodness that arises from it. And the light that Tolkien was talking about, as far as the one that Valinor represented before a fall from grace, it's a fall from consciousness. It's the state of origin that all souls are at before they decide to lower their consciousness and enter into the physical, or be tempted by the physical world and be tempted by the material pleasures of earth and of Arda. So the light of Valinor appeared to be a quality that the inhabitants of Aman could spread to others. The Eldar who went there and were instructed by the Valar gained much wisdom and beauty because of this light, so that they surpassed all other elven races in greatness. And when the Noldar came back to Middle-earth in the first age, they spread the light of Valinor that was in them to the first humans, so that the humans became a nobler people. And I thought of those words that Tolkien wrote about a nobler people, that the elven bloodline that coursed through the elves, that Elven-light, and spreading it to the first humans, allowed them to become a nobler people. Noble in this case actually means possessing or characterized by or arising from superiority of mind or character of ideals or morals. So this can be a complicated idea, but it's actually very simple. It is all about doing the right thing that you know is right in your heart, even though no one else is watching. Because if you do something good, knowing that others are watching or trying to get their approval, then that's not really good. Goodness is done in just the idea of wanting to help spread the light of awareness, of truth, of love, of wisdom, of justice, of all of that, all of these special ideals that were wrapped up in Valinor. And that's the Elven-light. And when you make a mistake, you can learn from it. Being noble is not about being perfect. It's not about never making a mistake. Being noble is about making a mistake, learning from it, and doing the right thing that you know is the right choice. The one that does not leave you feeling guilty inside. The one that makes you feel like you are connected to a greater source of love that is guardian over all life. That is the noble thing, is when you decide to do something though no one else is looking. Some of the greatest examples on earth are within human beings right now, in which they might find a wallet or a phone or a purse unattended and lost. And instead of keeping it for themselves, they turn it in. And this is one of the acts that you can see is full of goodness, simply because they were not tempted to take for themselves, but they thought of others and how their actions would affect others. And that in turn has a more powerful type of element to it, that you are not just benefiting yourself and your own soul growth and acting in a noble way, but you're benefiting others. And that action ripples out forwards, and it actually helps the whole collective of the world. Every single small act of kindness does. Every small act of goodness does. Goodness without reward, goodness for the sake of being good. That's the Elven-light. The Elven-light is a certain power that the elves and humans who were given the Elven-light, that it spread to within the first humans, especially in Numenor, have, that attracts many things to you, like moths to a flame or a lighthouse attracting things to you and bringing it to you. The Elven-light is a way of actually revealing the beauty, goodness, and abundance that is already around you, but you may not be able to see it until you are ready to see it, until you are ready to receive it and receive the abundance that is waiting around you as a choosable point in time, space, in reality. Tolkien said in a 1944 letter to Christopher Tolkien, his son, that elves represent beauty and grace of life, an artifact, which means an object shaped by human workmanship. That's the definition of artifact. It's a grace that does not transcend art itself, but it arrives at it by natural instinct or inspiration from the divine. And what I mean about the idea that it's a personal power of the elves and of the humans that had the Elven-light, like Aragorn and other descendants of Numenor, is that this particular type of power is about being in flow with the entire universal consciousness that we would call Eru. When it comes to Tolkien's mythology, you can call it any word you want. Great Spirit, universal consciousness, the universe. It is the voice of your higher self. It is your conscience speaking to you, and you can choose to ignore it, and you can make your own other choice by ego and go down your own path. But there's something about following that voice, that conscience inside of you, that leads you down the right path. And although in the end, there's no right or wrong path because it's all a learning experience and it's all about growth, you surely can create your own happiness and joy. And it's like awakening is about seeing the whole that is before you and being able to walk around it instead of falling in the hole, in which you might have fallen in the hole before if you were not awakened. That's what awakened really means, seeing things as they really are. So I want to bring up a very deep idea here, and you can think about this to yourself, but have you ever thought, I know I have, that when you want something just for yourself and it only benefits yourself, and it could be at the cost of others, it could be something that only enhances your life but it takes from others, its only value is to benefit your own life, sometimes it doesn't come true. And it may even come true in a way that we might not want it to. And this is the problem about the law of attraction or the secret. If a person is instructed to think of $1 million check to come into the mail, that is only to benefit themselves. However, if they put forward the thoughts that they would like to benefit not only themselves, but also to benefit others, to open up a school for maybe something to help people as far as having, special abilities, or something that's going to increase and aid to the consciousness of mankind. When you are putting your thoughts forward in that way to aid the collective or aid more than just yourself, that's when you're in flow of the abundance, and that's when you actually manifest and create these things that come into your life that they talked about with the law of attraction. The Elven law of attraction is being in flow, in harmony with the collective, and understanding that when you seek to just benefit yourself only, then you will only get so far and will have a limited amount of abundance that you will experience. But when you seek to actually enhance the lives of others outside of yourself, then you will have an unlimited amount of abundance, because you're tapping into this unlimited reservoir of power of the universal consciousness that looks over all life and cares for all souls, and at the highest level is connected to everyone. So the Elven-light is about aiding to the collective growth and working in harmony with others and bestowing these values of goodness, of Valinor, and not being perfect, but by increasing this ability to perfect yourself over time, to learn from these mistakes and to grow from them and to become a nobler life form. So when you want to do something in life that not only benefits yourself, but it also benefits others, you are helped, you are aided, and you are eventually rewarded by the universe. To you, you may experience an abundance coming towards you, not maybe financially, but you might experience just more friendships, and you might experience people reflecting the love back towards you. And this is a mirror to you to show you what you have put forward in the world. And when you put that effort forward into the world, you see that back reflected through others, showing you what you have given, the love that you have given, the love that you have shared freely. This is the mirror effect that shows you all the blessings that you have created for others as well as yourself, and it will be reflected back to you. And this is the law of attraction. The law of attraction is about what you put out into the world, you will receive back. You attract it like a magnet. And that is what happens, is anybody who puts out evil or negative into the world, you want to take from others, you want to hurt others or harm others, you will receive it back. It's a magnet, and you will experience that back to you. Why? Because you have to have a moment of self-realization and self-actualization by having a mirror in front of you to show you who you have become, so that you can continually work on soul growth and soul development until eventually you return back to the source of all things. And that's what every soul's goal is. Because all events and things work to benefit the collective consciousness, either subconsciously or unconsciously, or even consciously. Every single soul in this world, every single event, every single situation, every single thing that has happened over human history and non-human history has been in benefit of the expansion, the learning, and the enlarging of knowledge of the universal consciousness. Everything, whether it has been good or bad. We share this at the highest level, this experience of the universal consciousness. And when you work in flow with this, aware of your service to the whole collective, you attract more abundance to you. Not always financially. Don't think about abundance always being financially, but it's about abundance of inner peace, of happiness, of soul fulfillment, of love, of friendship, of harmony, less stress, more relaxing, more time for joy and experience of just happiness and joyful moments, really. And I want to show you this where Tolkien talked about the law of attraction here in his letter 253 here, in a letter to Amy Ronald in 1956, July 27th. This is what he said about the law of attraction. But we are assured that we must be ourselves extravagantly generous if we are to hope for the extravagant generosity which the slightest easing of or escape from the consequences of our own follies and errors represents. And that mercy does sometimes occur in this life. Frodo deserved all honor because he spent every drop of his power of will and body, and that was just sufficient to bring him to the destined point and no further. The law of attraction to Tolkien, the law of attraction that I am awakening to, the law of attraction the elves knew, the law of attraction all wise beings know, that choose the path to return back to the source of all things. The law of attraction is to be extravagantly generous with your time, with your love, with your friendship, with your efforts in this world. And you will receive it back. You will get a mirror back to you. Maybe not at that same time that you put it out. Maybe not right at that moment. But when it is most beneficial for you to know, to see, to have that moment of self-actualization, to see who you really are. A mirror to gaze in, to look at your reflection, and to see how far you have come and where you are headed. Tolkien's perspective of working towards the whole collective is found in this letter to Robert Murray, November 1954. Men have fallen. Any legends in the form of supposed ancient history of this actual world of ours must accept that. But the peoples of the West, the good side, are reformed. That is, they are descendants of men that tried to repent and fled westward from the domination of the prime Dark Lord and his false worship. And by contrast with the elves, renewed and enlarged their knowledge of the truth and the nature of the world. They thus escaped from religion in a pagan sense into a pure monotheist worldview in which all things and beings and powers that might seem worshipful were not to be worshipped, not even the gods, the Valar, being only creatures and creations of the One. You may ask yourself, okay, Kimberell, what is the One? I'm going to show you what the One is. Are you ready? Okay. Close your eyes and feel the grace of sunlight that helps the plants grow, a soft breeze upon your face, cooling your brow from the heat. Smell the air, taking in the smell of lavender or rose or any flower that smells sweet to you. And now I want you to put your hand on your heart and feel the pumping of your heartbeat And know in this moment that you are alive as a vessel for this spirit. And whether you work to help all around you or just yourself determines the amount of abundance that you see and that comes to you, attracting it like a magnet. It's a mirror to reflect back all that you have done. Not necessarily wealth, as I said, but in a feeling of love, reflected from others, or simply a feeling of being loved by the very air that you breathe and the stars that shine and twinkle above you. That feeling of cosmic love, feeling as if you could be all alone in the world and no one will understand you, and you could have terrible things happen to you and traumatic events. You could go through hell on earth. You could experience so much trauma from those that are asleep and in pain themselves. And in a moment of realization, you realize that you're still alive, that you're here, and you feel blessed to be alive, and you feel as if something was watching over you, a power that connects us all to one another, guides us through life, and we become a vessel for when we decide to volunteer to become a vessel for this. And this is the power that keeps all darkness at bay, so that life can continue on, and that nothing is ever doomed or destroyed, and that there is a new day, and the sun will shine again. That's the gift that we can give back, is our effort to be a vessel for the spirit of love. And to know that you are loved very deeply. And the Elven-light is about knowing that. And when you awaken to that moment, any one of you in this world, as soon as you awaken to feeling cosmic love, if you can spread it to others, you are shining the Elven-light, the power and the gift that was given to the first humans. That is a great power that will make sure that life springs forward and no dark lord, no dark demons or anything can ever destroy life. Life is consciousness itself, and it's infinite, and it will never be destroyed, only transformed, renewed, and built even bigger and grander in an experience for you. When in flow with working with this one love, you will have everything that you want in life. And it may not be $1 million. It may not be 15 cars in your garage. It may not be a closet full of clothes. And it certainly may not be being popular or loved by everyone. But what it will be is a feeling of peace, a feeling of bliss and tranquility within yourself, knowing and that you are safe from all harm on earth. And no one can do anything to your spirit, though they can do something to your body, and they can do something to your emotions, but they can't do anything to your infinite spirit that will live on forever and ever. And when you awaken to that, you are strong in the Elven-light power that you can wield to push darkness and negative things away, or you can spread it to others and bring them joy and love that they so need in their times of healing and hurt. When in flow with working as a divine servant of this one love, a messenger of love for others, plus your own well-being, peace and harmony, you will experience the blessings that can be seen within this spectrum of light called the Elven-light that Tolkien created as a term. But it exists as a feeling within many of us that can see that light spectrum, can understand it, can live in it, or can desire to be around it. Tolkien was talking about the light of goodness, of purity, of truth, of justice, of everything that remains strong while darkness and evil is on earth for a temporary time. But it is the light that is forever beyond its reach. Forever. Never forget that. And if you have that knowledge, you'll never lose faith and trust in the goodness of the universe, in the goodness of yourself, in the goodness of the one, the prime source that we emanate from, that arranges all matter that you see and have the gift, the temporary gift to experience and explore and create what you will. And your only consequences and punishments are just simply a mirror in front of you to show you what you have created. That's all. That's what heaven and hell is, a mirror. The Elven-light is part of the spectrum of light, which is consciousness, a high consciousness spectrum of devotion, of gratitude and grace for the life that you live and all that is within your life, seeing it for what it is and what it is worth. Divine art is expressed through you in many ways to aid in the collective growth, expansion, and enlarging of knowledge of the whole universal consciousness that ensures you grow together, as well as experienced in your life individually. But collectively, we will realize a beautiful civilization together, an advanced world. That's what the collective dream looks like. But individually, your life will be one full of peace, full of understanding, full of wisdom and grace. And no traumatic event can ever harm you ever again. Not for a long time. You will go through your experience, but you can come out of it faster as you awaken to this Elven-light power. If you want a soul-fulfilling life experience and abundance, which is not about wealth, not necessarily, because we know there are the richest people in this world who are also very unhappy. Wealth is not the answer. It's about inner wealth, inner feelings of joy and bliss and happiness with yourself and how far you have come, how much you have learned through all of the trauma that you have experienced. That is the joy, that is what you earn after going through all of the hard times that everybody has given you and that you have suffered through. Waking up to realize your true strength to overcome those obstacles is the greatest joy one can experience. So if you want that abundance of joy, of love, of harmony around you always, or as much as you can, then you need to see it first within yourself and see it all around you, waiting for you to be open to receiving it. The elves had the sight to see all the truer nature of reality, and that's how they were able to manifest that type of high spectrum of peace and tranquility within their elven realms that humans did not have until only in the later ages, when the elves faded away and left Arda to them, giving them their chance now. See it first and give gratitude every day and accept with grace and humility, and more will flow into your life simply because you materialized it in your life as a mirror, arranging the matter of reality all around you with the power of love as a powerful mirror reflection of what you have become. What you have become as an instrument or a vessel of love. And love is the strength of the whole multiverse. It is the strongest force in the entire universe. You cannot do anything without love permanently, but you can do things without love, and it only lasts temporarily. But if you do something with love, it is permanent. It is everlasting until time comes to destroy it, challenge it, and build an obstacle, but then you find the love again. You find that love again, and it makes it more long-lasting and stronger and strengthens it at the core. And each act of love ensures the theme of life and growth to play out in this world. And as the quote from Tolkien goes, I have found that it is small, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. That's what Gandalf said from The Hobbit. So Tolkien was not talking about grand acts, although those are recognized at times for their humane human rights movements that have helped our human timeline along and progressed it greatly with ideals of equality and justice and spiritual recognition of one another and of love. But it's not always those great big acts that are needed. Simple, small acts of kindness. What I have learned over my life, because I was not always like this, but as I've awakened into my elven soul, remembering it, I realize that every day is an opportunity to do the right thing, to do a good deed, to make someone feel loved, to bring forth healing when there is trauma and hurt, to myself and to others, and to make sure that everyone who enters my sphere of influence leaves in a better state of mind, helping them grow. And in doing that, it ripples out, it's contagious, and they will help others grow, and they will spread the kindness and spread the love, And that will help the whole collective. That will help the whole world. I want to leave with a last idea here from the Pleiadians, because it has everything to do with what I'm talking about. The Pleiadians are another advanced star family that realized what this theme of the universe is, and they've learned how to master it. And now they are evolving into the light bodies. That's their next stage. So the spirit and the consciousness, the spirit within yourself, the consciousness that flows through your mind and allows your body to move and reflect on your thoughts and feel and experience what you experience, are on the lookout for what is perfect, for harmony, for peace, for cognition, realization, for knowledge, for wisdom, for truth and beauty, for love, and for the true being, all of which are of absolute duration, absolute, infinite duration throughout all time, space. It is existence. It is the true state of life itself that gives birth to all forms of life and allows all the trees and the plants to grow and the sunlight to shine down and light your way and the moonlight to give a soft glow so you can enjoy the night. Get in touch with those feelings of being loved, being a vessel for love, and spreading that is the Elven-light. The power to spread to others the awareness, the understanding of the way that the universe works in terms of being connected and interconnected to all beings through the one consciousness, the prime source of cosmic love that radiates out into the universe for all time. Never forget that. So I hope that this gave you some indication of what the Elven-light is. And it's not just the elves that wield it. It's mankind, and it's in the brave hobbits too. You yourself have the Elven-light as well. As soon as you get over the obstacles of self-doubt, of denial, of turning away from feeling loved, of looking too much at the material world and not enough inside, and living too much in the matrix of society and not beyond it, outside of the matrix, which is where the truth really is. And by recognizing the goodness in others within their small acts that they do every day, within the heroic acts that you hear on the news, these are the small ways that we move humanity forward into the age of light, the age of awareness, and being able to see with our eyes what has always been there. But now we're just ready to see this certain spectrum of light, the Elven-light, which has always been there. It's just about realizing it within. So everyone, have a beautiful night, and I look forward to looking at your comments. And I just need to take a little bit of time with this, because this has been some intense energy. But I know that it was time to talk about this. It's something that we all know inside, and I'm simply just affirming what you have already thought. This is how the law of attraction really works. Get in flow with working towards the benefit of others and not just yourself, and you will have everything given to you. Rewards, gifts, and blessings, and they will come in many ways, simply because it is a mirror to how loving you have become and evolved yourself to become. Namaste.